Hey guys, it's Ebony of 92Q, and I'm joined by Sean Good.
Hey, I thought I'd jump in on this interview just because I'm a fan, so I had to jump in on this interview.
Well, you know what, as a fan, go ahead and introduce our guest today.
Well, okay, I'll do this. She is, yes, neo-soul, R&B, trip-hop, I think is kind of the category. She's multifaceted, and when I say lyricist, she's definitely a lyricist. When you listen to the lyrics of her songs, they're deep and they have soul. And that's why I've always been attracted to this amazing artist, Goapele. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I mean, for me, it is a little weird because I still jam out to Closer. I jam out to it.
I appreciate it.
I think that was the song that said, I am a neo-soul babe. I love some neo-soul.
I think I said that for a lot of people.
For a lot of people.
I think you're when you think about neo-soul, you really are truly one of the defining artists for neo-soul. You really are. I mean, do you get that, or do you feel that yourself?
You know what? I have a hard time with any labeling.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
but I consider myself soul R&B.
Yeah.
And I consider myself a singer-songwriter, and sometimes it kind of bleeds into different categories depending on what year it is, you know? Because I've been influenced by just so much music. But it's like, I like for beautiful chords, which I think is where the soul comes in, and the R&B, and then I want the drums and the bass to hit hard, and so that, you know, I don't know what category that gets into, but we need the balance.
And I like that you said that, because a lot of artists nowadays, they feel like I have to be, put down to one genre, one type of category. But you're like, no.
Limiting.
Yeah, it's very limiting. So it stunts the creativity process, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think as a songwriter, thank you for listening and appreciating the lyrics. Sometimes when I'm writing, I'll be thinking like, oh, does this fit? Like, are people going to relate to this? Are they going to understand? And I try and quickly get out of my head and just be like, let me just focus on being creative, and then we'll figure out the rest later. And honestly, even when I was doing Closer, that didn't fit into even a neo soul box. It didn't even fit into a normal song form.
It
was
really
kind of
didn't.
just like this flow, and we're like, okay, it's just a vibe. It's just the intro to the album. And so I think for me, it's just been an affirmation, like, don't worry about the end result. Just be true to the moment.
I think it's true, because I really feel like Closer, you found Closer in so many different places. You know, I heard it on R&B, on urban radio. I kind of heard it all over the place. Even top 40
rappers rapping over
it. Right. So
it
didn't really fit a specific mold.
Yeah.
It really had its own life. It had its own sound, and I think that's really what made everybody just like, wow, who is this person? Because just listening to the lyrics and then the vibe of the music, it just kind of kept you in this place of just, I guess, solitude, if that might be the right word.
Yeah.
So that's what I loved about it. And from that point on, and then you got really, really creative. I mean, you got fun with a lot of music. You really, really did. I think the song you did with Snoop Dogg, you got fun with it. That was cool.
I did, and I was a fan of his for so long, and met him maybe a few months before that when I went on his show, GGN. And he was just so cool, you know?
He has that presence, I feel.
He has such a presence, and he's so authentic, and really appreciates music.
He does.
You know, he was like, I like that song, Change It All, which I wouldn't have expected him to pick out that song. It's more of like a jazz, but it has a dope bass line. But I'm like, lyrically, I'm talking about, the world, and like, we need to change everything because everything's all, messed up. And so I was like, that was an authentic, even touching stone. And I was so happy to get to do Hey Boy with him. Keith from the Black Eyed Peas, Keith Harris produced that, and we had went to Berklee College of Music together, and that was like a great reunion on that Strong as Glass album. And I've just felt really blessed. I'm like 7 albums deep now.
You are.
Yeah, you are.
And I'm just happy to be here.
All your lyrics, though, you always like to say something with a meaning. It's never a song just to be a song. It's a meaning behind it. It's a passion, emotion. Why is it so important for you to have a message behind everything that you sing about, you write about?
Well, I feel like I just want to emanate something that feels like it's coming from a real place so that people feel it. That's really all it is. I just want to connect with people, and I want to leave people with a feeling that will spark something in them, you know?
Right.
I feel like I also listen to music as an escape, but I feel like even if I'm going into a fantasy kind of place with my music, I still want people to feel, I don't know, something healing, something that makes them not feel alone, something that, so even in um, love songs or relationship songs, like I'm like, I gotta have both feelings. I don't want to just, be
No, I
against
get that.
somebody.
I get that. I get that. So the writing process for you, it's different for a lot of people. Some
Yeah.
people really they may get a melody or may get a beat and they kind of go with that. Some people have a concept or an idea in their head. What really how do you dig into that writing process for yourself?
I wish I had a formula. I am still trying to figure out, like, how get to the process, make this happen fast, and make something good. But really, it's just like show up, and however it can get going. I think with this most recent album, Colors, a lot of the songs I sat down with my guitar player, Errol Cooney, and sometimes was like, I might have a little idea. Not all the lyrics were written, and then we come up with chords, and
Right.
sometimes I'd be humming a bass line. Sometimes it's almost picking up stuff out of thin air until it feels right. But I think a lot of these songs I had written kind of through the pandemic, and just I was like, I have to just get stuff out that's like on my heart,
Yeah.
and I'll get to the fun stuff later. But it was like relationshipy. So I felt like I was really talking a little more blunt than I normally
Okay,
do.
I
and
see
just,
that.
You
I see
were for
that.
Colors? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
you were.
I
It
was
was
like,
more there. It was more in your face.
Yeah,
It
it was
truly
a little less metaphorical and just kind of like, and I think it had to do with like me giving myself permission to just be real unapologetically. And I think the more I just come into myself as a grown woman, it's just kind of like, let's not beat around the bush. Let's just, this is what it is.
Wow.
Take it or leave it.
So really to think about that, you're 7 albums deep. You've been in the game since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Now you're just now feeling like you're giving yourself permission to be real. Why
Time. It's every time I am, and it'll be like another layer. It's
Okay.
vulnerable. It's vulnerable. And then you're learning different stuff, about yourself. I think, the first album I did, that was so scary,
Mhm.
and those songs, first Butterfly Kisses, all those Salvation, Closer, like that was really what was on my heart then. And I was working with, dope folks like Jeff Basker and Mike Auberg and folks. And sometimes it was the beat first, sometimes it was the music first, sometimes it was just me writing in my journal, and then being like, okay, we could turn this into a verse or a hook or something, And then, when I did the next album, it changed it all. That felt like I'm really putting myself out there. It honestly is a little scary each time. And I feel like I push myself to try something new, but I still want to give people something that they may have loved, from a past album. And I'm a mother that peeled away some other layers, and just life. I think it becomes, the layers get a little more easier, to like, I'm not as shy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I honestly, like, for me, and tell me if I'm correct, when it came to your first projects and you releasing that, it felt like there was a pause for a moment. Like, of course, you were still pushing through your music and doing live stuff, but there was a little bit of a pullback when it came to the albums and stuff. Am I correct?
You know what it is? I've always waited some years in between putting out albums. So that's like, I thought that was just normal. But a lot of the artists now are like every year, every 6
second,
months, they're dropping stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not ready to let go yet. And so I'm a slow cook, slow burn type of person. So there's always been some years in between,
Yeah.
probably like 4 to 6 years before this last album. I don't know. Might have even been a little bit longer than that. And I was like, okay, it is time to put these songs out. Um, but it felt good because I was really able to reflect and feel like I had something to say and, put out songs like Time Heals and
Yeah.
just trusting that everything will come together in its own time and make sense. And sometimes we can't understand it in the moment, almost till years later,
This is true.
sometimes, but I got to work with some incredible musicians, Keon Harold, also Chris Dave, Derek Hodge, Errol Cooney, and then also Bedrock, this producer I've been working with for years. So that always makes me
Okay.
feel at home and I
Makes
can
you
be
feel at
comfortable.
home.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about how musicians nowadays, they every moment is album dropping, all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a difference in the industry from where it was in the 2000s, how you first came out, than it is right now?
I think for me, I had a unique experience because one, I was an independent artist, which was a little unusual for soul and R&B,
Yeah.
Right.
So everything was super hands-on. I could say whatever I want because it was my family label. You know what I mean? So it was very freeing.
Mm.
And it was with the concept of like, I don't know what genre I'm going to fit into. I don't know if people are going to get it. But if I perform locally and we build a base and people come through and it's proven, there'll be some demand. So if I then get a deal with a major, I won't be shelved. I won't be convinced out of my vision. I won't be any of those things because it's like, no, we already have some people showing up to the show. There's already
Right.
some, so it's like, I think that was super empowering. It was also humbling because it wasn't fancy in the beginning.
No,
You know what I mean? It
no,
was like
it wasn't.
no smoke, no mirrors.
None of
It was
that.
just
Just
kind of
you
like
on the stage, and
you
that was
wanna-
it.
you
That was
know?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it like I could see the street team putting up the flyers. I could see I was aware of the cost. It wasn't just like this fly life. It was like, do you want to should we be paying for this? Should we be investing in
Right.
this? You want that? We're
Yeah.
going to have to pay for it. And so I think it also made me appreciate so many things. And then I did end up putting out the second album with Sony, but our family label, Skyblaze, was still involved. So I feel like the whole time, I've partnered up with different people, different record companies or distribution deals, but our label has always been involved. So it's been a little different for me, I think, than other
Yeah.
people in the music industry. The industry, of course, has changed like crazy,
Well,
even in the past 10 years.
It has, but really, what you were doing in the early 2000s is really
We're kind of back to
we're
that.
kind of back to
Right.
that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
your independent artists are really the ones, in my opinion, that are really, really making such great, unique music that's not a cookie cutter kind of situation. They're not churning something out left
Yeah.
and right. The independent artists, and they're getting a lot more recognized because of streaming. Streaming wasn't the big
Yeah.
thing at that time,
Yeah.
but it is a huge part
Yeah.
of the industry now. And your independent artists are really, really owning that space and developing this fan base and this huge streaming success. And then they all of a sudden they get a hit on the radio and they're like, this is a brand new artist. No,
No, they've been here.
out for like 10
They've
years.
been here.
And that's every time,
Yeah.
right? Every time someone is like the new artist getting the spotlight, they've been
They've been here.
grinding,
Yeah.
they've been building. I think now sometimes it's a little quicker and more immediate because stuff can blow up on social media so
Yeah.
quick that you'll see sometimes people are like, I wasn't ready for all of these
Yeah.
folks. Like they don't have as much warm up time, where you're doing a small room, medium room before
Right.
you
They
get
don't
to the
have a lot of
large
that.
room. But I think, just like with social media and everything, it allows you to connect to fans and not have to go through all of these other huge corporate channels just to get heard. Because when I first came out, it was more like that. It's just because my brother was a DJ. We knew a bunch of DJs. We were like,
Yeah.
like working with folks on the ground. But yeah, It's change. It's a lot of waves to ride.
Has it
You know,
been?
you gotta love it.
You gotta love it.
You
You
have
gotta
to
love
love
it.
it.
So are you digging into the social media piece of this? You know, you took some time, but you got the new album that came out last year, and I know you're working on new
Yes.
stuff now. So
Yes. I
is the
am.
social media piece of it is it becoming a huge
I
part of you,
think
or are you just kind of like
no, I think I'm kind of one of those people that's like everything in moderation, so it doesn't make me go crazy,
I
and I
love
don't
that.
get too stressed out about it. I think that it's been a tool since the beginning.
Hmm.
And I've really appreciated that. But I'm not one of those people that I can just walk through life and post everything. Nobody even wants that from
Oh
me.
no, not living your life through a screen. It's crazy how many
I
people
can't.
actually can do that too. You know,
Yeah.
I can't do that. I
Yeah.
do not like having to post every 2 seconds. And
Yeah.
then especially some moments are my moments.
Yeah.
I want to be vulnerable and open and share with whoever. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I also want my me time, my
For
vibe
sure.
check, my peace, my everything.
For sure.
I need that.
And it's a different energy, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, because there's some days I'm like, oh, I got to capture everything and we got to take
Yeah.
a bunch of photos and blah blah blah. And that's good. That's good. There's a place for that, but I can be less present sometimes when
Yeah.
I'm, doing that. So, yeah.
So you're touring. You're at City Winery.
Yes, I'm
And
at City Winery
How does
tonight.
it feel touring? I'm curious. Like, how does this feel? You're in Nashville now. We got so many other places to do, and so many other places to go, so many things to do. How does it feel being out here and just loving the fans even more? Like, how does that feel?
It feels good to be back because I can't believe it, but I'm like, I
Yeah.
think it's been like 10, 15 years.
the last
since I
time you
was
were
on
here,
this
yeah,
stage.
yeah.
Which is insane. I didn't mean for that to happen.
Yeah.
I think I'm one of those people that's just always been on and off the road. And even when there's like, 4, 6 years, 8 years between an album, I've never stopped performing.
Yeah.
So that's been a constant in my life. And I depend on that. And I think, that was something that was so hard through the pandemic, although I liked getting to have like some family time and I finally could like sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to finish an album. It was when I'd perform, it was like streaming from my living room or streaming from a studio and not getting to see people's faces and not getting, no one was singing along with me. And
Right.
it was like, that was isolating in a different kind of way. And I just love the exchange of a live audience
You
and how
feel
it feels when you're
interaction.
all
Yeah.
experiencing,
Yeah.
a song together. So that feels good, just to be here doing a live show. I haven't been to this city winery, but I've been doing a lot of city wineries in other cities, and I'll get to do songs off the Colors album, and of course, get through
Get
a little
through-
bit of
yeah.
all my albums. So
Well, let's talk about colors real quick. I got to give you a star for purple.
thank you.
I love purple.
Yeah,
Thank
I love
you.
purple. Tell me, what was the thought process when it comes to colors? What did you want your fans to truly take away from that project?
I would say, well, Purple was one of the first songs, and that was something that was actually named after color. So I didn't have the title at the time, but Bedrock had this music that just was such a vibe. And in my mind, it was just like hazy and purple and like Prince vibes. And so it was just like, it should be like a sexy song, but there was more visuals, I think, with the color. And so it was just like, it needs to be part of the title and the lyrics and everything. And kind of as I was going through the process of recording the various songs, I was like, you know what? I always see different colors when I'm hearing a chord,
Yeah.
or when I'm,
That's
and-
exactly how I see
Yeah.
music. I've always seen music
Oh
that
my
way.
Lord.
okay,
I
no,
did-
everybody's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
because
though.
because I grew up in a group and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and so writing music or being in the studio, that's how I see music. That's when
Yes.
somebody sings, or it's always through colors with me.
Yes.
And so when I talk about music and talking about how someone sings, and if I explaining the colors, I that's how I know if it's really, really authentic, if it's real, if I can really see colors. So when I saw this, it's like, oh wow, you see it in the same way, because I don't meet a lot of people that see music that way.
Yes.
Some people will just, they see notes, or they just hear it or
Or
feel
it's a
it.
vibe. I
Yeah,
like how
they
it
just,
sounds.
they have to feel it.
I'm like,
Ebony
you hear
is a
what they said?
vibe.
I didn't even hear
I
what
am
they
a
said.
vibe,
I
but
just like how it
I like, for me, I am a vibe. I like the beat, but I also have to go with the lyrics. For me, I separate your words from what the sound is.
Yeah.
And I actually have to go by what you're saying. That's what catches me.
That's awesome.
But
Yeah.
this is also Sean trying to drop, by the way. If you ever need a background singer,
I
he is
didn't
your
say
guy.
that.
That was this
I
moment.
might tonight. You might need to come with me to
That's what I
sound
said.
check right
That's
after
what
this, and
I
we can
said.
do a little rehearsal.
Because that's been a minute. That's been a
do
minute.
it. Let's do
That
it.
has been a minute. But I do. It's always been that way. That's how I see music, and that's what really made me fall in love with it a long time ago. But
You know what though? I didn't know that there was a name to it until more recently, that it's called synesthesia.
really,
And it's like
I
people
didn't know
that combine senses, because I've always had like letters and words and numbers and stuff like that are always, I see it in my mind as certain colors,
Okay.
you know? And sometimes it's not always beautiful. And I don't like how, I might be like, oh, I don't like that because I don't like how it looks visually in
Yeah.
my mind, like this isn't matching, or I don't like that texture, that chord is like rubbing me the wrong way or whatever. And so, see, you probably have synesthesia.
you know what?
And it's
I
like
didn't know.
this
You just
extra
diagnosed
kind of
me, because
sense.
I've had this for years.
Yeah, me too.
And I just never. It was hard to always explain it when I would
Oh,
say,
my
I
Lord.
could see that. I see the colors of that song. Like, what are you talking about?
And it
that's-
kind of has
It
textures
does.
and different
you
things.
can
right?
almost feel it. You can almost
Yes.
feel it sometimes when
Yes.
you hear certain songs, especially songs that you love. You can also you feel the direction that it's changing. So
Yes.
it's
Yeah, and also sometimes things can be heavy sound wise and visually for me,
Yeah.
where I'm like, I don't want to go there. And so I think for this album, I was like, how can I express that sensation a little bit more? And I did like scented candles. I didn't bring them with me to this show tonight, but sometimes I will to the live shows. But where it's like, okay, this song not only has a color, whether it's in like the purple or blue tones of some of them, then there was like Color My Heart and Complicated that was like in the reds and different shades of pink zone, and then like Time Heals and Gamble that was more in like the gold burnt orange kind of tones.
Yeah.
And I had 3 different candle scents that kind of had the feeling of what I felt like that would smell like. The song should smell like this. And I had merch like it should feel like this silk dress. And I love the senses. So that was kind of like what I leaned into.
I
for
think
this
that's
album.
to me. I think that's true artistry, honestly and truly, because it's your art, and so the art that you're expressing. You should be able to feel it, and you should be able to
Yeah.
describe it in different ways. And so I've always equated that with really true artistry, to be able to describe it in ways of feeling, of seeing, of touching, and you can understand.
Thank you.
Just
Yeah,
from
we're
that,
trying
so.
to communicate.
Yes.
Like I want you to feel like I feel.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's hard to do. You never know what's translating.
Well, if your listeners, are they listening to the album and getting the same color as you are, or what are
I
you
don't
hoping?
know.
That's what I'm curious about.
I'm
What
like,
are the
but
fans?
did Purple do
Purple
that for you?
Purple gave me purple, but
Yeah.
it was Color My Heart. When you
Yes.
said that, it was funny to me because that's actually the color I got was red.
Okay,
But I don't know why I got a red, but I got a red.
That's how it was. And I can't hear it without that. That's
Yeah.
just what it is. And then it would kind of like go into these bursting, vibrant colors, but red was like
It's the
home
boldness.
base.
It's the boldness. That's what it is.
And like a cherry wine red. Yeah.
Because you were, listen, like you said, you ain't holding back no more. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
listen, this is exactly what it is.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what we want. And that's what you did with that song. So I guess that's why it's red, because you were bold, you were out there, you're outspoken with it, and
Maybe
it was beautiful.
Maybe because there's another song on a different album called Play, and that one is always red to me too. And so sometimes even if like the lighting is a different color, I'm like, I see it in this certain way, but
Yeah.
I'm glad you got the same color.
I'm excited.
We'd have to go through all the songs and be
I
like,
know,
do you
right?
see what I
Did you
see?
see what I see?
Right?
Start
Do you
painting
see
it out.
what I see?
Wow. So I'm going to ask you this question, because I know we're going to wrap up. I know you got to get ready for your show, but what would Goapele today tell Goapele from her first album, 2001, 2002? What would you tell yourself if you had a chance to go back? What would you tell yourself?
I would probably tell myself to take more chances.
Really?
I would say one of the things I'm really thankful for is that I've been able to be grounded.
Hmm.
I'm kind of like a late bloomer. I like ease into things. I need to feel comfortable. And I'm super thankful that I've been able to be grounded in an industry that's just the most not grounding place you could be in
Yeah,
entertainment.
yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It can throw you off your game if you care too much about all the noise outside. So okay, so I'm thankful to be grounded, but I do wish I took some more risks. I wish that you know, it's kind of the some of the things that have worked for me have also worked
Against.
against me, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of some of those qualities. So it's like I've been lucky to be surrounded by just trustworthy, good people that like protected me. And I would say musically, I wish that I sometimes trusted other people creatively, like, try this, collaborate. Sometimes I think, especially before, it just felt so vulnerable, even
Hmm.
thinking of getting in the room to songwrite with other people. I felt I was just a little more shy and protective, or doubted, like, ooh, I don't know how this is going to work. So I think just being a little more open,
Hmm.
um, while I was still getting to know myself at the same time. Um, and like that I could be a little more bold. I think that women in this industry can be so objectified.
Yeah,
And I
very
was
true.
really concerned about that and was kind of like, I want to be taken seriously as an artist. And so I was very protective of that, which is fine. But I also was like, okay, I could also be a little more free. I think there's just such a
There's a balance.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
like,
balance.
Yeah.
I don't think I would necessarily change things because I feel good and I've got to have like a life,
Yeah.
and not just give everything to music. And so that's like, I've been able to love music and have a life. I'm thankful
Wow.
for that. Um,
I think you gave us free, honestly. I think you,
mm,
just from thinking, going back and
yeah.
watching you over the years, I think just seeing you, I think you gave us a sense of freedom for you, that
Okay.
you,
All right.
because the way that you were able to express yourself
Yeah.
and working with different people and
Yeah.
different sounds. I
Yeah.
think when I think about you, I always think free, because she really is expressing herself and not really putting herself in a box, even though for the most part
Mm-hmm.
you get put in a box.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you,
But it's true. I was kind of like, take this box off of me. And I
yeah, yeah,
didn't
yeah,
change.
yeah, exactly. But you did. I really think, when I think about it, I think about even album covers and
Mm.
just the way that when you see you on stage, you expressed freedom, even though you may not feel like that you were. I think that you really did express that very well.
Thank you.
I have to
Thank you.
agree. I mean, even as a female, you
Mm-hmm.
really do showcase. You can be all sides of you. You can be sexy. You can be vulnerable. You can be kind of quiet. You can be any side that you want
Mm-hmm.
and still feel at whole with your womanhood
Yeah. And
You-
feel like you have substance,
and
but you
have
don't have to be
substance.
deep all the time.
Yeah, you really do express all of that. And I think that's why, for me, I clinged to your music and I was like,
Thank you.
I think that when I hear her, she hears me. And I appreciate
You
that.
guys are wonderful. Okay, this is like the self-empowerment show.
Hey, that's
No,
what
I
we do every day.
appreciate
That's
that.
really what we do every day. But we
I
know you gotta
appreciate
go, Ebony. So you got a show
I
tonight.
know she
you.
do, but I have to ask one more question. One more
Yes.
question. Who are you listening to? For you, what artists do you like? What is it for you?
So many. Do you have time?
Oh my
Can I
gosh.
just throw a bunch of people
Run
out
'em
there?
down.
Run them down. Let's do it. I got time.
I'm listening to her. I'm
Yes.
listening to Alex Isley.
Yes,
I'm listening
yes.
to Lucky Day.
Yes.
I'm listening to Ari Lennox.
Mhm.
I'm listening to SZA. I'm listening to James Blake. I'm listening to Keon Harold. I'm listening to Anderson Paak.
Yes.
I'm listening to Common. And then it just kind of depends. I'm listening to Burna Boy.
Yeah, yeah. It just go back and
Wizkid,
forth.
Kinda goes back and
Tiwa
forth.
Savage.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, do I need to wake up in the afternoon? Do I need like, you know what I mean? Like, so
Wow.
What's gonna get you going? I was waiting for you to say Duran Bernard, or even say another person I think that you would really like. I gotta get her name.
I was thinking of was it Imani? I was thinking of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I really, if you've not heard
Ooh,
him,
another
you
good one.
please,
Yeah.
put me
this
on.
guy is incredible.
Okay.
Duran Bernard is when
That's
he's the definition of free.
Yes.
He's
Yes,
free.
he's free.
He's free, and he
Okay.
doesn't care to tell you. But I'll turn you onto those before you leave because I think that you'll enjoy both of them.
Yeah, and I have
Oh,
one more
wonderful.
person I got to throw at you because I think that you would absolutely love her, and she's as much of an activist too, as much of one that wants to make sure that people understand the basis behind the industry, teaching them the right understanding of it.
Yeah.
And then I have a girl in the UK. We got to talk.
Shay
All right.
Universe.
Yeah, Shay Universe.
Shay Universe.
That's
Oh my
girl.
We can tell you all
Oh
kinds of
my gosh.
amazing artists
Yes.
that I think that the same colors and the
Universe.
same vibe.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that you'd love
And
them.
and let me tell you, I might be into some stuff that you didn't think I would be into too.
Not you coming out with Sexy Red. What you mean?
Well,
what?
no,
Okay.
not sexy red.
Okay.
But I mean, it for me, that would be more like I need to hear Sway Lee right now, or I need to hear
Gotcha.
there's like a
Yeah, yes.
it's just kind of it's some people that might be in the ratchet category. That's just
all
like,
right.
but I can't listen to it if I'm feeling sensitive. I have to
get it.
listen to it if I feel like I need to be
Right.
rah-rah.
Yeah,
I get it. I think we
yeah.
all have a couple of
Yeah.
those. Yeah, you know.
If I
that's
listen
not
to
too
Big
far.
Glow,
love
I
it.
can't listen to Big Glow in the library. I gotta
No,
listen to her
when
in a
you're
moment.
getting ready to go out
I'm in
or
the
just
gym,
getting in
and
the
I'm just like,
car.
let's go,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yes.
So I understand. I
Yeah,
respect it.
trying to run up some steps, something like that. Yes.
Oh my gosh, you have been, when I tell you, a light, a joy, and just everything that I actually imagined.
Thank you.
It's so weird when you meet an artist
Yeah.
that is actually what you imagine. That is a new form. Normally, you meet somebody and you're like, oh, you
Disappoint. You're like, I don't know if I want to listen
do not
to
meet
you
your fan.
anymore.
Do not meet people you like. Do not meet the people like that's a thing. But you,
Yeah. Or if you catch someone on the wrong day.
yeah, or the wrong week. But you're different. You really are exactly what you sound like. Exactly what you
Thank
give
you,
an
Ebony.
artist.
Yeah.
And I
Appreciate
really
it.
do appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I think you're probably gonna make me cry. I can't do that, so I'm not. I can't do that because
Oh Lord, don't do that. But tonight you are at City Winery.
Yes.
The show, what time?
7:00. Yeah, 7:00 tonight. And there are two folks that are also performing tonight.
Okay, so you got a couple of openers. It's all right.
It's okay.
Now you can grab tickets at citywinery.com. So if you get your tickets, go check out Goapele, because what needs to happen is that we need to get her to come back.
Oh, she has to come back. We just had a moment of tears, of triumph. She has to come back.
Please. Yeah, and Nick Trebon. I might be saying his name wrong.
Okay.
Nick Trebon, and Wayne Starks.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And I think they're both from around
Really?
here.
Around
Here.
I think
Wayne Starks
so.
does sound familiar.
That-
Nick, I don't remember. Wayne
Wayne
Starks
does sound
Okay.
familiar.
All right.
We're gonna
all
look
right.
that one up. But I
Yeah.
know no matter what, y'all go to the show. You're gonna get a vibe. You're gonna get energy. You're gonna get probably a lot of tears. Don't wear your eyelashes because I'm about ready to cry with her right now. But I really appreciate you for coming on. And Sean, thank you for being in this interview with me.
Oh, no problem. You just make
Thank you for
sure.
coming through.
Just make sure you come back. Don't put. We're
Yeah,
not
it's
going to do
not
another
gonna be this
15
long.
years.
No, this is
Come
ridiculous.
back because we gotta see you again.
For sure.
And
For
come
sure.
back. We want you to come back onto the radio.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to come to our morning show and sit with us.
I would love to, and I know that this is such a musical city. I just ran into my girl Ruby Monfu, who is from out here, another singer songwriter, and I'm like, I just need to come out here
my
and spend some more
gosh.
time,
got
in the
to.
studio, even.
I'm so curious. You know what? This conversation can last for another 2 hours. I have more questions for you. I really wanted to ask you about the music scene here and how you liking it as you're coming back into it.
Yeah.
To Nashville at least.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get into this conversation later.
We will.
Let's go ahead and close out
We'll have
before
to do
we
a part two
do a
at some
part
point.
two.
But thank you so much for
Thank
coming by the
you.
studio.
My
We really
pleasure.
appreciate it. You are
Yes.
awesome. Goapele is at City Winery tonight. Go check her out. You listen to 92Q.
And that's it.